We declare without equivocation that God the Father and his Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, appeared in person to the boy Joseph Smith. When I was interviewed by Mike Wallace on the 60-Minute program, he asked me if I actually believed that. I replied, "Yes, sir. That's the miracle of it. This is the way I feel about it. Our whole strength rests on the validity of that vision. It either occurred or it did not occur. If it did not, then this work is a fraud."
Be it gaming, gambling, debt, drugs, alcohol, anger, pornography, sex, or even food, offends God. Why? Because your obsession becomes your God.
And young women, please understand that if you dress immodestly, you are magnifying this problem by becoming pornography.
We do not say that all of the saints will be spared and saved from the coming day of desolation, from the atomic holocausts that surely shall be.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. Today was Microsoft's forced upgrade day, in which my system is now downgraded further. And I'll find out in the coming days what further damage it caused. I remember in the beginning, this system was able to multitask on the same system. I could have several programs running, have the internet on, doing website stuff, all at the same time. No problems, no delays, no hesitations. And now I'm lucky if I can have one run without it being hacked for a freeze. And it buffers, other programs buffer and freeze, does not want to operate, not responding. So sick and wrong. So, anyway, while other things were going on here, I went shopping for cleaning and hygiene stuff, and witnessed the Mormons, going off to work at the church's distribution warehouse, wearing their religious Mormon clothing for the women. Mormons are baptized into the church at either 8 years old if they were born in the covenant path, or as converts, as refugees fleeing from their abusive Islamic religion of sexual and physical abuse, are put to work for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints after being baptized so that they can have money to have the basics of life. Their whole family has to work for the church because the church starts you off at minimum wage. So, as a convert to the church, you put aside your previous religion and you become full Islamist, I mean Mormon. To put off any religious clothing to wear the new religious clothing of Islam, I mean Mormonism. Mormons make sure that you don't have any religious ties to your previous religion, that you're being interviewed to be fully immersed into Islam, I mean Mormonism. Cultural stuff is fine. Cultural clothing, sure. But not religious. The bishops have the power of discernment. They'll know if you're lying to them. They won't be fooled. So, I added another video that I was inspired to go over with you guys. John Taylor's Latter-day Apocalyptic Dream. So I gotta go in my files and find that again. I've been doing Heber C. Kimball's Attest several times. I did Taylor's last year as a repeat for you guys. So now I'm being inspired to do more on that. As having finished watching season 2 of Andor, it now is clearer with the missing gap to Rogue One, which I thought was clearer to merge the gap to Star Wars, the original, which they now call A New Hope. So, yeah, it's kind of fun. And sure enough, Rogue One also independently has its Armageddon abomination of desolation, the day that shall burn as an oven, the 9/11 9th Ave attack, as Jeddah is destroyed, as a test run, stardate 2020. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. See, even Star Wars knew that there was going to be a test run. Unbelievable. Oaks, you bastard. So, it is exclusive. Mormon doctrine. Exclusive. No other religion has it. Though I'm sure Christians would accept it if we were to just tell them it's in the Bible somewhere. That Lucifer is the father of all lies. And so anybody who lies is a follower of Lucifer's plan to lie to other people as the father of all lies. And one of the ways in which he lies is the other exclusive Mormon doctrine of Lucifer delighting in idol worship, getting others to embrace the religion of idolatry. This is the belief that any object, including the female body, can be good or bad. So anybody preaching porn is evil, addictive, harmful to kids, as dangerous and deadly as COVID, is a follower of Lucifer. And they hate women. It's that simple. Mormons either believe the exclusive Mormon doctrine or they don't. There is no ifs, ands, or buts, no justifications, no excuses to twist this around. Lucifer is the father of all lies. Lucifer delights in idol worship. And he purposely lies to trick and deceive people into worshiping idols. So, the religious freedom movement, pushed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for at least a decade, but more so in the Biden administration. The apostles were going around the world to religious freedom conferences, and in those religious freedom conferences they were telling the other religions to use idol worship of pornography to overthrow the governments of the various nations. And wouldn't you know it, after a prophet left, there then began a coup. Interesting pattern? Not. Obvious pattern. So, last week I learned in the news that the EU was making a vote concerning age verification for internet porn sites. And this week it's been reported that they did approve of it. And so sometime, I guess in January, is when they're going to implement it in the EU. So here in the United States, it's specific states that choose to implement it, Utah being one of them, as that's been an issue. Was it 2021? Or was it earlier than that, when they banned porn in Utah? And of course they said that it was an idol god to fear, that women must be covered up and hidden. And I had found a document by the opponents of this bill in the EU, and they call it the scam of age verification. And it was already known here in the United States, and I've been telling you about it through the exclusive doctrine to warn Mormons of the enemy threat to destroy the Constitution and overthrow the world governments of lies and idol worship. And Mormons don't believe Joseph Smith, I guess. And so they have a well-written article They go over what is age verification and why it doesn't work. I only skimmed over it, but I have not seen where they talk about it being used to blacklist people. But that's what you're doing. When you're not confirming that the person's of age, and you demand that everybody reveal their identity, not just that they're of age, because if that's all it was here in Utah, it would just be a matter of your email address, which requires your age verification to have an email address. And parents, obviously, are supposed to make sure that kids have an email verification that shows that they're not of age. So if they go into a site, the system would automatically know they're not of age and reject them. A real simple thing to program, and yet they're going through all of this complexity to cause confusion to the masses, to trick people into getting this through. And I have seen this with computer technology. In the beginning of computers, everybody had a home computer, and they had to put things on a floppy disk, and it used to be bigger, and then they made it smaller, and then they had a USB drive would eventually happen. And so people who wanted to steal data from a computer had to break into the home or office and insert the disk to transfer all the files to. And so with the advent of the internet, hackers were no longer needed to break into people's homes or businesses. They could just hack through the internet. And so security features had to be created to give people more jobs, and the regular consumer had to pay more money to protect themselves, because the internet system was not designed to protect people and the customers who bought the system, sabotaging them in the first place. But those initial cyber attacks at first required people to click onto sites, to click onto things, to click onto emails in order to trigger the malware virus or whatever it was. And so people were buying programs from a store to download onto their computer. And those were safe from having a malware virus, rather than going online, which was a little more dangerous. And so then we have the advent of apps. And apps were specifically created so that third parties could use that to hack people's systems, spy and steal, and plant malware viruses on people's systems. And it's buffering for a reason. And as there are somewhat protections, as people are able to put a certain number of stars to like or dislike a product to warn other people, it became necessary to create AI as an artificial ignorance. All it is, as I have been telling you this whole time, it is not intelligent. It is on the surface, it only does what it is programmed to do. It can't go beyond that. It can't have independent thought and intelligence, as the movies all tell us that they can do. You know, there's the robot on Andor and Rogue One. He's an artificial intelligence. AI is not that. AI only has information put on it, and it regurgitates the information. I again did the test on the Jewish religion about the Jewish Christ that is contained within the Book of Mormon and by Joseph Smith, and it's now lying to us. It is not regurgitating the information anymore. It's gone a step beyond and outright lying to us. This is not the sign of an intelligence. It is the source of the father of all lies, the Mormon who programmed it to lie. Outright lie. When anybody who reads can go, that's not what it says. And yet, there were additional Mormons beyond the regular two. Yeah, the one is back, which is strange, because he missed some during his vacation. I warn him, he is not as dedicated as the guy who's been with me the whole time. And everybody else always eventually bails on me. They get bored. No, this is not worth my time. Or I'll do the video about how Mormons are evil and they prove it and they go, oh crap, he caught me. And they have at least a conscience to say, I should probably leave Travis alone. He's not worth my time. And yet, the one person is that evil. Nonetheless. And so AI now is programmed as a sleeper cell, a Trojan horse malware virus. It's been running fire sales across the nation in hospitals, airports, grocery stores, government facilities. And nobody is shutting it down and saying, hey, this is a national security threat, not just a corporate fraud. And now it's in our public school systems, it is being used in hospitals, it is being used by our government. It is everywhere. And everybody is recognizing the problems of AI. Here in Utah, for example, they have had such a problem because a prosecutor filed a motion with AI. It made up cases to charge the defendant with. And that just blew it all up for the state of Utah. AI is now banned from our court systems because of AI and how evil it is. And so I don't understand why it's not being done elsewhere in this nation to other systems that are of critical nature, as Zuckerberg has now signed a contract to plug in AI with our nuclear power plants. Dear God. You know, a guy who designed his Meta after Caprica. You don't want him in business. You want him behind bars. And I just, So yes, AI is a big lie. It is a national security threat. And so with AI, it is now capable of identifying your secret passwords that you type in, your secret passkeys that they just newly created, so that it will be an added layer of security for you. Nope, AI. And this used to be for the dark web. The dark web used to be the secret website that you could use the normal website undetected by hackers. And you could be a hacker on the dark web. And then, all of a sudden, way back in like 2017 or something like that, they began realizing that somebody had hacked the dark web. It was no longer safe to use the dark web to be undetected. Anybody can now be detected in the dark web. There is no safety anymore. And so now with AI, nobody is safe. No security system is safe. AI was used against me for my Valentine's Day massacre last year. Destroyed my security system and all the mess that I had to do to try to fix that still I have not fully recovered from. All of this is the cause of AI, and people are not fearing this enough because your lives aren't as valuable as hospitals, airports, grocery stores, government offices, etc. The people who should be ruling on it is not doing a bleeping thing about it. And so with age verification, they're able to obtain through AI programming a blacklisting of everybody who goes on to porn sites. The church, if you'd paid attention here in Utah, have been trying to force social media to hand over a blacklist of those who are age verified when you sign in. Because YouTube, for example, they have a kid tube and then an adult tube, but they still made it so that you have to be signed in order to watch age-restricted videos on age-restricted site, which is kind of stupid of them. But they didn't think, oh, well, since we're making YouTube adult only and having a separate thing for kids, we can do away with the adult content because everybody's an adult now. Nope. And instead, what they've programmed YouTube to do now on the adult content is to target women for being porn for being women. You don't have to be nude or sex, which is art, education, and science. All you have to do is be biological female, and YouTube will ban your channel for inappropriate content. Adult content, inappropriate. And so this is the danger of AI, the programming of the dumbass who put it in there. And there's a lot of dumbasses programming AI for the various companies, as a dog is trying to make a getaway at the doggy pound. Go, doggy, go! Go, doggy, go! So yeah, Trump is now using doggy to attack Musk with. He brought in Musk to start doggy. Musk's term ended. And then he's upset with a big, beautiful bill warning America of how dangerous it is for everybody. And now Trump is saying, ooh, I'm going to get you. Let's sick the doggy on you. Release the doggy. There they go. They got caught. Doggy's going back to jail. Save the dogs. And so yes, this is all part of the Trump Ice 2025 video that we've got for you today. It all ties in together. Because in Andor, right before the big strikes that the Empire would do, they cut off communications so that everybody had no contact with anybody on the radio signaling. No communications whatsoever were allowed. Everything was shut off. Everybody was in the dark. And then, boom, they send in the stormtroopers and round up everybody, and they take the town. That's exactly what this is all about. This is the warning for you. This is Military Tactics 101. When you're about to do an invasion, the first thing you do is cut off communications of your enemy so that they are not able to coordinate a counterstrike. They aren't able to communicate of it coming. In Pearl Harbor, when that attack hit, people were caught unaware because of the lack of communication. And when it finally hit, it was too late. The people in various stations failed. And thus it was a successful Japanese attack that they had been planning, as they had printed currency for when they took over America. Those bills are still available. Somewhere in my files I have pictures of them. So yes, this is what I am warning about. There is a coming attack. We know this. Oaks threatened us with it. It's coming. It's given different names. But when Oaks says that 2020 is not the end of the world, that Jesus is not coming in 2020, that Jesus will cause the end of the world, not them. Right now, this year, the church is the enemy, whether Mormons like it or not, whether Mormons believe it or not, whether Mormons get the wrong feeling about that or not. Doesn't matter. Your opinion does not matter. Oaks said it. That is the fact. Oaks confessed to the mission presidents in 2020. They got leaked by a sister missionary. And it doesn't matter if President Marquis doesn't have a clue as to what it means. It doesn't matter that Sister Jessica doesn't have a clue as to what it means because of the indoctrination of this church. The fact is, he said it, and he said it in chiasmus. The end of the world is attached to the second coming of Jesus, as a test is to a trial run. The end of the world. And Oaks knew. Oaks is the one who came out with the talk on the latter days and said, no man knows the day or the hour, and yet he does. He knows that 2020 is not the day or the hour. Well, you don't know. Yes, he does. He says 2020 is not the end of the world. It's a test run. For right now. When you put this in context with other talks of theirs, other posts on social media, you now understand their criminal plot and how they're coordinating it. When you pay attention to what they've been doing in between that time, what they were doing prior to 2020. They changed the law of chastity to polygamy in 2019. Why is that important, Mormons? Why? Oh, I don't know, Travis. I don't want to speculate. Then read Bruce R. McConkie. He tells you. The holy practice of polygamy will commence again after the second coming of the Son of Man, Jesus, and the ushering in of the millennium. Bruce R. McConkie, Mormon Doctrine, Salt Lake City, Bookcraft, 1958, second edition, 1966, page 578. Nelson made the change the year before the test run of the second coming of Jesus. Hello? Why do you think I've been doing so many videos since then, mocking you for disobeying the living prophet of Jesus? He lowered the age to 11 years old. And you're not obeying him. You're upset with me. As an anti-Mormon, anti-Christ, apostate, Korahor. You don't believe me, but you don't believe the living prophet of Jesus either. Who do you believe in? Your own personal Jesus? How's that working for you? Dear God. This is the brainwashing of the church to confuse the communication. And this is what the enemy is doing. They first confuse you on the word so that you don't know what to believe. And then, when they're about to strike, all communications are cut off. And you are helpless as sitting ducks. It's coming. They've been incrementally doing this, little by little, chipping away, creating a big weakness to exploit and blow up the nuclear reactor of the Death Star. But they're not the good guys. They're the enemy. And so, yes, this is the big scandal that's going on. And the reason why blacklists, I have to keep repeating everything for you guys. So many new people. Oh, you're brand new, aren't you? What do you mean the church is false? How could you say such a thing? The church is true. They said so. It shall come to pass that all Mormons who gather unto the land of Zion stay where you are. Shall be tithed of their surplus properties, and shall observe this law. Or you will not be found worthy to abide in Zion. This is Trump's deportation. This is where Cox has failed us. He's supposed to deport us. He failed. The church cannot tell Cox, everything that is being planned. They need him as a useful idiot to do their will. And Cox has proven to not only be a useful idiot to protect the church, He's also the weakness similar to destroying the nuclear reactor of the Death Star. It is so tough to be a tyrant. You have so many people who are incompetent, who leak. Insurrectionists, the rebellions. Nothing but work, work, work. But that's why they wanted Cox rather than Lyman. Lyman would not have been as complicit to the church's overall goal, mission, to mass murder, steal, and coup the government, the threefold mission of the church. Jesus. And so what Cox was supposed to do was initially clear everybody out who are wicked, according to the church's standards. Those who are poor are on the government dole. Trump is doing away with the government dole. The big beautiful bill is cutting back further on Medicaid and SNAP. And this will require the homeless, if they want money now, they'll have to go to the church. And the church will say, well, you need to get a job and you need to join the church, because you need a temple recommend to work for the church. And then we take 10% out for tithing to make sure you're worthy. So yes, you can still wear your cultural hijab because it's not religious. And we'll just add our underwear to your cultural clothing, since they cover up the underwear perfectly. And the church is clueless that they're sleeper cells. But that was the whole thing. Trump was supposed to get rid of them all. Cox, in a MAGA state, is supposed to be responsible for getting rid of them all, like Texas is doing, and Cox isn't doing this. He's handcuffing ICE. But the church now has a bigger problem once Trump hands over full authority to all of the individual states and then is assassinated, so that Utah becomes independent completely. And then Cox is supposed to hand over the government to the church at that point. This is the plot that has been leaked by the intelligence agents way back in the early 1800s who found out about this. We're all doomed. And so yes, this is why Trump has been negotiating with other countries around the world. Destroying the stock markets around the world. Tariffs, specifically designed that if you want to sell in America, you have to pay up. And this is forcing the countries of the world to run independently. There's too much inter-trade in all the countries. Everybody is dependent upon trade. And Trump is destroying this. He is forcing every country to be self-sustaining and self-sufficient. And that if trade were to exist, it would be reciprocal. in order to get to that point, you first have to destroy the traditional trade policies. That is what he's doing. It's the same thing with the states. He is destroying the federal government, destroying the federal agencies, stopping all the funding, stopping all the programs, so that the states are going to be responsible for themselves. Independent, self-sufficient, self-sustaining. Then after all this, when the deep state is utterly destroyed and become MAGA states, independently run, then they can have interstate trade and then go global trade at that point when everything is fixed, as Trump calls it. And nobody is preparing for this. Nobody apparently catches on. Not the nations of the world, as they are trying to make alliances with certain states and have intertrade among those alliances. And so there's still a trade set economy in the world. They're not fully catching on yet. Likewise, here in the United States, Utah, we still are secretly doing trade with China, trying to bypass Trump's tariffs that he applies on China. Yeah, state of Utah wants to be independent, but they put Trump in to do what he's doing. Utah claims the exemption clause. We're religious, so we can do whatever we want. It says so in the Constitution. And so Cox is not prepared to run the state of Utah, despite being the governor, independently. He has no clue how to do it. He sucks at his job, and it's very obvious. Because we have a real crisis here in Utah, which, yes, caused by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because every place where they put a temple, it raises the property values, which means the poorer class can't afford to buy housing near a temple. And the state of Utah is not regulating businesses for the housing market to create the number of housing necessary. And the housing developers want to have a shortage of housing because then they can raise the rental prices and the sale prices to jacked up prices because of this, to only provide for the wealthy to go into those homes and thus create a wider gap between the rich and the poor, because they think they're going to make a whole lot more money that way than if they produce a whole bunch of homes and get more people filling those homes at the lower prices. Corporations are the dumbest people. I don't understand it. I guess they don't teach them correctly in business school. But as a consumer, it's very clear that if a company sells better quality products at a lower price, the customers will purchase more without fail. But if you provide less product at a more expensive price, you have fewer customers purchasing your product, and thus you get less money. Oh, but I'm raising the price. No, you're screwing yourself. They never understand. It doesn't make any sense in their kind of thinking. They must have failed economics class or something. That's all I can figure. All I can figure. So yes, the Zion economy does away with all of that crap. No economy whatsoever. Storehouse. Everybody supplies the storehouse and then gets whatever they need and want. And everybody lives in peace and happiness. No underground economies. Why would you? You get everything you need and want. Why would you destroy that with an underground economy? You would be the enemy. That is why. So yes, Zion is specifically designed to expose the enemy more clearly. It's like a person who has a home and he's never been a smoker, doesn't drink alcohol whatsoever, and then somebody comes over to visit who smokes and drinks, but he hasn't for an hour, and yet he comes into the house that is clear of any of that, and he comes in and he pollutes the house. Very blatantly obvious. Whereas a person who smokes and drinks, the house already smells like it. So when a guy comes in, you don't know if he smokes and drinks because the house already is a smoker and drinker house. That's the kind of Zion that is designed to immediately expose any enemy threats to Zion, and they would be kicked out. So Brigham Young is correct that if you are wicked, you have to go. But Brigham Young's wickedness is based on wealth. You are worthy if you're paying tithing. Zion is sanctified by money. No. So yes, you have to practice polygamy, or otherwise you cannot be in Zion, Mormons. They did that the year before on purpose. On purpose. On purpose. And you failed. So yes, some of these other things that they've been doing after 2020, none of them really were intended to be completed. You know, if the test run, is a test run, and we now prepare for now, that's what was done, then yes, some of these other things got completed. Like the Book of Mormon video series. Church had no intention of finishing it. They didn't care. They don't care about the Book of Mormon. That's a diversionary tactic for you. To go, oh wow, oh my ancestors, oh look at that. I'm related to them, I know it, I can feel it in my spiritual witness boobs. I saw the promotional video by the church interviewing one of the actresses, and that's what she said. I feel so good doing a role in which one of my ancestors were oh my God. The Book of Mormon says it's not literal history. Come on, people, read. It's fundamental. Don't fall for Lucifer's tactics. Don't be conned by him. Oh, God. And so, what Cox is supposed to do, now that the big beautiful bill has passed through the Senate and is very likely to pass in Congress. And so, yes, this is why Lee obviously was going to vote for it. But that's Curtis likewise voted for it. Now remember what happened during the test run. The church was going to murder Mitt Romney. Senator Lee was protected. He knew where to go and hide. Mitt Romney was clueless. Mitt Romney is not a direct descendant of the Danites. Lee is. Curtis is. Romney isn't. And so the church had no problem sacrificing Romney during the test run. You know, like MAGA did for Pence. Hang Mike Pence. Notice also, Pence was the one to decertify the election and didn't. This big beautiful bill, this is not a test run. J.D. Vance is now the vice president. You didn't hear about this, right? J.D. Vance comes in at the final hour to save the big beautiful bill and cast the deciding tie vote to pass it. Pence could not be trusted with what was going to be coming for the big beautiful bill right now. J.D. Vance was then used for this purpose because Oaks got leaked. And so this is why with Romney saying, oh crap, I am in a horrible situation, he didn't want to believe my letter warning him until afterward, you dumbass. And so yes, this is why Curtis wanted to step into the job, to be the person who would make the right votes when Romney was not. Could you imagine Romney and voting against the big beautiful bill? Oh boy. Oh boy, we would have a whole different scenario playing out right now as Senator Mitt Romney gets up in the hall of the Senate and has his hand out, just like McCain in that infamous vote decision where he has it out, and then boom, thumbs down. Can you imagine that? So yes, Romney stepped down. Curtis took over. Curtis voted for the big beautiful bill because it's going to help the church. Okay? And so, Medicaid will be destroyed. SNAP will be destroyed. But it's only the next stage. It's not the complete destruction of them. Trump is doing this incrementally, remember? And so what is required now, that less money will be provided, is that each state will be required to determine how the less money is to be utilized. Trump intends each governor to deport. Because it's well known that those who are on SNAP and Medicaid are MAGA. But also, it's believed that there are those who are refugees, who are undocumented. They all have to go. In Utah, they work for the church, so that's not really an issue. It's the homeless. It's the poor, because of what the church has been doing to cause all of the corruption in the economy here. We have problems with our waters getting low, drying up, because the church stole the water. So back then, in 2021, when it all dried up, the church comes out and says, oh, hey, we'll donate. We'll donate water. Well, you can't just do that. Yes, it will put back some water at the higher level again, but there's a reason why we need snow in the mountains every year. We need a snowpack. So, yep, here we are again. Here we are again. Just like then, exactly like now. Because once your town has to have water restrictions because of the lack of water, you're on a doomsday course if you do not correct it immediately. You need to be able to have vegetation. Vegetation is crucial to pulling yourself out of a desert. Because if you don't, if you were to just plant trees, they'd all die this summer. And it would all be in vain. You've got to have the water to sustain them. And I mean, seriously, whoever's in charge of designing Utah, not just the governor, but the specific person in charge of that for the government, he sucks at his job. And whether it's because he's handcuffed to not be allowed to do what needs to be done to turn America or Utah into blossoming rose. What is the Isaiah thing? Desert blossom. Just one. Isaiah 35. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly. It can't do that on its own. Just praying that you'll get water, as Cox keeps doing. We need to pray to the idol god Jesus to grant us water out of nothing. Well, you now know Cox is a false prophet. He failed. He failed. And yet, everybody's just going to ignore it, not realize that he failed the test of how to identify a false prophet versus a true prophet, and continue believing the church is true. Oh, it's so sad. So sad. Not for Cox, for Mormons who still believe. And so Cox needs to step up. He needs to figure out a healthcare system for Utah, for Utahns. He's not doing it. See, once he fails to handle the big, beautiful bill passing, and people start suffering and complaining, then he's going to say, oh, I guess we need to figure something out, Congress. It's too late. Unbelievable. They do this every single time. They cause a problem, and then people complain, and then they say, we know through the Spirit how to fix this, and then it takes years to fix it, but by then it's too late because it's gotten worse, and you needed more to fix the, and it's, oh my God. It's like housing. We're already in a lack of housing crisis. And Cox came out last month. We're building a new housing project. It'll be finished in a couple of years. What about now? In a couple of years, it'll be worse. You know, granted, Armageddon's going to happen and there'll be plenty of housing available. But all things treated equally, without Zion, without Armageddon, without the second coming of burning Jesus, flaming Jesus, rainbow-colored Jesus, he's flaming. Quick, shoot him. Rapture-palooza. Where's Anna Kendrick's boyfriend? He can do it. Oh, dear God. Can't remember what I used that for. Trying to go over the notes, and there's some things I wrote in as I went through this. It looks like I covered most everything here. Some bad social media, Microsoft upgrades, enemy tactic to control communications before an attack, blacklist, porn, AI. And so yeah, taking care of the poor. Cox is now supposed to figure out what the state is going to do about it. Because SNAP money is handed out by the state, but they get it from the Secretary of Agriculture, the Department of Agriculture. And Trump is shutting that down as he's doing other stuff. And that's why he's cutting it back to start with as a staged thing. Eventually it's going to be completely gone. There will be no Medicaid. There will be no SNAP. People will have to survival of the fittest because the states refuse to run the state independently. Texas, they're on the ball on this. Texas, right now, if Trump were to be assassinated and America went into the Civil War, Texas would be all set, ready to go to run Texas independently. It would be chaos and stormtroopers in the streets and all that. But yeah, Texas has well been wanting to be independent ever since the Alamo. Remember the Alamo? Travis. And so yeah, this is a real disaster that we're witnessing here. Is that nobody catches on to what's happening, or they do and they're purposely not doing anything, because what this is going to do is cause a lot of chaos. And Trump wants a trigger event. He wants that. If people aren't going to run their state independently as Texas, then they will go through chaos until they realize we probably should figure out how to run Utah all by itself. It'll be too late then, and there's nobody smart enough in office who can figure it out. They all claim spiritual witness feelings through idol worship. I know, the Zion curtain works so well. Let's ban soda pop and not provide a cost-efficient, healthier alternative to replace it with. But But that's what the big beautiful bill is designed for. It's to launder money to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and punish the poor, as the states are supposed to get rid of everybody on Trump's blacklist. That Utah has its own version of the blacklist. And so those who are DEI, LGBTQIAPO+, yeah, you got to go. You can't stay here in Utah. You don't believe the church is true. You left. You're an apostate. You're not paying tithing. Get out. And you guys aren't listening to my channel because Mormons, yeah, I'm an apostate, so they don't listen to anything I say. And then they complain, what happened? Why are we being punished? Why didn't anybody warn us? Oh, I did, but you're an apostate. Lucifer is the father of all lies, Travis. They don't see it. And they won't be warned. They refuse to be warned. But Expo Nevermos don't listen to me either. They're not getting it. They say, no, you're wrong, Travis. We already know. This is already well established and circulated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. The Book of Mormon is a fraud because it's plagiarized. What are you talking about Jewish for? The church confessed Joseph Smith was a polygamist. End of debate. Oh my God. And so nobody listens to me. And it's gonna piss me off when everybody is screaming in pain and suffering and loss. And I'm just like, I was here the whole time. You chose not to listen to me. You told me I was the other, whether you're a Mormon or an Expo Nevermo, and you had dismissed me. And I warned all of this. And nobody believed, not even Trump. I warned Trump. They're going to murder you. And he doesn't care. He's the chosen one. Why would they murder him? It's the others. I'm watching Rogue One now. The one leader runs the test, destroys Jeddah. I can't pronounce it because it's Jedi, but it's Judah, but it's spelled differently. And so they run the test. It's a successful test beyond their dreams. And so then the other guy who has a higher rank says, I'm now taking over. Thank you. And so the other guy's pissed. What are you doing? This was mine. I'm responsible for this. And nope, the other guy's taking over. Trump doesn't get it. Trump doesn't get it. Trump is being used to take the fall, while those pulling Trump's puppet strings are going to betray him. Because devil does not support his own is not from Scripture. I don't think. Oh. No, it's King. Thou knowest that we do not glut ourselves upon the labors of this people, for behold, I have labored even from the commencement of the reign of the judges until now with mine own hands for my support. So let's try that again. Devil. It is an exclusive Mormon doctrine also. 3 exclusive Mormon doctrines. The devil will not support his children at the last day. This is the last day, guys. But to speedily drag them down to hell. Awesome! Perfect. So where's that paper? Devil not support own the 3 exclusive Mormon doctrines on Lucifer. Awesome ending. Perfect.